Hi boys and girls, today we're going over take home number 3 for class 621. The first question is divide 1 and 3500ths divided by 3. So on the side here I set it up, 1 and 3500ths goes inside, that's our dividend, and 3 is our divisor. And from here we're going to divide as if the decimal point does not exist. So we end up with 45 as the quotient. The last step is going to be to bring this decimal point up into the quotient, and it comes straight up into the answer before the 4, and I'm going to add a 0 as a placeholder to show that there are no whole numbers. So our quotient is 45 hundredths. Number 2, divide 31 and 92 hundredths by 6 tenths. Our first step, you'll see on the left-hand side here, is we have to get rid of the decimal place in our divisor. So we're moving the decimal point over, really the same thing as multiplying by 10. So we're going to do the same thing over here in the dividend, multiply by 10. It moves our decimal point over one position to the right. And so now our problem becomes 6 going into 319 and 2 tenths. Remember, when we multiply two numbers by the same factor, it creates an equivalent fraction or an equivalent ratio, and that's why we're able to move this decimal point over both in the divisor and the dividend, and the quotient stays the same. So our new problem over here is worked out. Again, we're dividing as if the decimal point does not exist until we finally have no remainder, and the last step is to bring up the decimal point right between the 3 and the 2. So our quotient is 53 and 2 hundredths. Number 3, we want to write 3/5 as a decimal. There's two ways we can do this. The first is by writing 3/5 as a fraction and then making the denominator into tenths or hundredths. In this case, it's easy if we multiply the denominator by 2 and the numerator by 2. This is what we talked about on the previous page. I'm making an equivalent fraction when I multiply by the same factor. So our fraction becomes 6 tenths, and 6 tenths as a decimal is 0.6. The second step would be to divide 3 by 5. To do that, we can rewrite our fraction here 3/5, and we're going to extend the fraction bar, make it a long division sign, and that 3 is going to pop in and become the dividend. 5 can't go into 3, but we can add a decimal point and some zeros, and then again we can ignore the decimal point and proceed with division, which we did over here. So we end up with a quotient of 6, and the decimal point has to come straight up into the quotient, so we end up with 0 and 6 tenths. Number 4, write as a fraction in lowest terms. This is 72 hundredths. The 2 is in the hundredths place, and the last digit in our decimal determines what is going to be in our denominator here. You'll notice if the 2 is in the hundredths place, so we need 100 in the denominator, and the 72 goes up in the numerator. From there we can divide. I know that 4 goes into both numbers, so if I divide 72 by 4 and 100 by 4, we end up with 18/25. And the last question, number 5, round to the nearest hundredth. The 2 is in the hundredths place, so we're going to look at the number just to the right of the hundredths place. That's a 1. If our number is 4 and lower, that means the hundredths place will stay as it is. If it's 5 and higher, the hundredths place will bump up 1. Since 1 is 4 and lower, that means the 2 is going to stay as is, so we end up with 728 and 62 hundredths. We're not going to put zeros after the 2 because we want to round to the hundredths place. We're stopping there. So there should be no digits after that. If you have any questions, please see me in class. Have a good day.